Okay, so now we are going to be setting up our control audience, and the control audience is basically the very first audience in campaign ad set that we want to create, because we'll be using this ad set to duplicate in the future for creating the rest of our audiences. So it's important that we set this one up first because one, it's also going to last a lot longer than most of our other audiences. Typically when we set this one up, it's going to become really valuable. So what you do is you go ahead and hit create, and then we will hit conversions, and you will go ahead and name it, name it however you would like. I'm going to do conversion leads. You can do conversion purchases, leads, whichever one you're optimizing for. We'll leave these off, hit continue. We'll then select the conversion event we're optimizing for, which is in our case going to be lead or purchases. And then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down. We're going to leave this audience open. And then the only thing that we're actually going to change is the location at which you get customers from. So whether it's the United States, Australia, Canada, or if you get them in all those locations, just go ahead and type them in here. Wherever you want to get customers from, put that in here. But everything else, don't change. So leave the age range open, leave the gender open. If you have a specific language, you can put that in there, but detailed targeting, do not put anything here. The only thing we want to do here is make sure you select expand detailed targeting. Make sure that's checked. The reason we want to do that is because it's going to expand the detailed targeting if it may increase conversions at a lower cost per conversion. So that's definitely something we want. I mean, if it's going to increase conversions and get them at a lower cost, of course we're going to do that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're on automatic placements. We don't want to do edit placements. If you don't have an Instagram account, for instance, maybe you don't have Instagram or you don't have Messenger, or you don't want your ads to show on Audience Network, I still think you should go ahead and select automatic placements, because what ends up happening is on Instagram, even if you don't have a profile, it's still going to show your ads on Instagram. And if somebody just tries to click on your profile, it's just going to tell them the description of what your Facebook pages. So it's actually definitely worth it if you choose automatic placements, because you're going to get lower cost per results, because you might end up getting some conversions from Instagram, even though you might not have an Instagram account, or you think that your audience is on Instagram. Just go ahead and try it. There's almost 1 billion people on that platform now, so it's definitely worth it. Audience Network, I mean, there's so many statistics from Facebook that's stating that Audience Network is definitely going to lower your cost per conversions, and I would agree. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to optimize for ad delivery conversions. We'll set the daily budget to $10 to start with. And then we want to make sure that we're on the lowest cost. You need to make sure you're on lowest cost conversion. And then you also want to do conversion window, 7 days click. You don't want or 1 day view. If you do 1 day view, what's going to end up happening is the pixel algorithm is going to optimize for based off of 1 day's worth of data from people who viewed your ad. You don't want that. You want 7 days worth of data for the pixel to actually optimize for. And then that also means that, if they're clicking on it, it's going to use that data. And then if it takes somebody around like 3 days, 5 days, 6 days, as long as it's under 7 days to make a purchase, it's going to attribute it to your ads, which is really nice. The rest we'll leave a standard delivery. Then we'll hit continue. And then you can go ahead and select your Instagram if you have one. If not, just click the down arrow, and what will end up happening is it'll just show your Facebook page. Then you'll end up creating your ad here. It's totally up to you how your ad ends up looking. I'm just going to put a demo one here, just for an example. So you'll go ahead and put in your text. We'll be covering the exact ads that we're going to be creating in the next video. So that way you can see how many ads we want to create, what types of ads we want to do, and everything like that. So just real quickly, I'm going to fill this in. And then learn more button. Let's see if that loads. Doesn't look like it wants to load. Perfect. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go with that. We'll hit confirm. And now what's going to end up happening is we just launched our control audience, and what you can do is, if you want, we could name it if we wanted to, like name it control audience. But that is our control audience, and our control audience is going to be the audience that we end up, duplicating and testing. So it's really important that we have this one set up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to we're now going to create more audiences, because having just one audience is not going to be impactful, because this audience could work or it might not work. And if it doesn't work, then we're going to want, other audiences that are successful. So what we end up doing is we need to test more audiences. Ideally, we want 15 different audiences to test. But initially, since we're just starting out, we don't want to go that far because we'll be burning through budget way too fast. So it's ideal that we start with 5 different ad sets. That's 5 different audiences initially. That's how many we want to start with. If you have a budget that's more than $1,500, then if you can come up with 15 different ad sets and audience types, then that's, you're more than welcome to, and that's a good idea. The more of them is better, but if you don't have a budget that's above $1,500, I would recommend sticking to 5, because you're going to end up spending, this daily budget's going to start adding up pretty quickly. And we're in the testing phase, so you have to understand that during testing, some ads are going to work and some ads are not going to work. So your average cost is going to be at its highest this very first round of testing. This phase is where we test everything. So we're going to be spending, money on finding out what's working. So it's important that we create the right amount of audiences and ads, so that way we don't overextend ourselves on budget. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hit duplicate. Make sure you have the ad set checked, and then you'll do existing campaign. We'll stay underneath conversion leads, then we'll hit duplicate. And now what we're going to do is we are going to add our first audience segment. So you simply just hit, we're going to do page views, in this case lookalike 1%. Make sure you don't do custom audiences. We don't want the custom audience in our duplicated ad set. We want the lookalike, because that's going to give us a big enough audience size, so that way we can, the pixel can end up finding people who are most likely to convert. And then we'll leave everything else the same, and we'll just rename this. And I like to put lookalike 1% page views 30D, just so that way I know. And then we'll leave everything as is. You can change your country if you end up getting clients in different areas. I wouldn't recommend having more than one country in here. If you target multiple countries, make sure you duplicate and then just change, just remove whichever country you currently have and then put in a different one. Never stack anything, never stack audiences initially. During testing, we want to make sure that we have everything on a one-to-one level, so that way we can find out what's working and what's not. And then we'll hit publish. And then once that's published, we'll go ahead and duplicate it again, and we'll just keep repeating this process, except we'll be doing different audiences every time. So existing campaign, conversion leads, duplicate. And then we'll go ahead and change this one for view content. And we'll just keep publishing this. Then publish, and make sure you double check it, just in case. You never know if you accidentally made an error by stacking audiences, or accidentally duplicating the same audience twice and not changing it. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate again. We'll just keep duplicating until we have all of our audiences that we want to test initially. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate this one more time. And this one will be looks like we need one more, so I'll go ahead and hit create custom audience. I need to get 5 in here, so I need to create another audience. So in this case, I'll just do schedule past 30 days, and I'll do schedule. I'll create this audience, and what ends up happening is, this is actually really cool. if this is going to happen every time when you create a new custom audience, it's going to populate right here. We don't want that there. We want to delete it, and then we want to hit create new lookalike audience. So we then can, and then we'll do whichever countries that you're targeting in, and then 1%, and then we'll hit create audience. And then that populates in there correctly, and then we'll just rename this up here. And we'll leave everything the same. And the reason we're leaving all of this open is because the more options the algorithm has, the more likely it's going to find somebody who's willing to convert and at a super low cost. If you end up making the audience size way too small, what ends up happening is the algorithm literally can't even work. Sometimes those people aren't on. A lot of times, believe it or not, most cases, like a lot of people just don't know their audience. Like they think that, oh, they're between this age, or they might, sell something that's only to ladies, and they don't understand that, men might be buying that for them if they're married, or if there's a lot of cases where men will actually buy something, or vice versa. So like there's no reason to exclude gender. I would totally leave your gender open. And then I'd also leave your age range open. The only reason you would go high on age range is if it's like an absolute requirement, like you have to be like 21 or older or something like that. But other than that, I would leave automatic placements open. This is going to give the pixel the best opportunity to optimize and get you the results you want. And this also means that when it's optimizing, it's going to end up over time lasting a lot longer. And you want that. You don't want, if you have a small audience size, over time it's going to dilute, and then it's just not even going to work. You might get some results initially, but it's just going to die off. We want something that can last 6 to 12 months without us having to change it again. Once we have it in, it's in place and it's generating results, then that's what we want to do. So now it should take, once you have your 5 audiences, it should take anywhere between 24 to 48 hours for all of them to get approved. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we add a lot more ads in here. We need to add more ads. So make sure you watch the next video, the next module, on how we're going to go about creating a bunch of different ad types that's best for testing. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.